Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It is Marvin speaking. I just want to say a few things. Duncan come out with some amazing points in Debbie wanting to implement this Jay's law into basically sleuths talking about cases and obviously supposedly bringing wrong information. I think the one thing that is not really being talked about, our channels, myself, Duncan Wax, are giving out some educational points about if you go away on holiday. And I've always said it, to be careful if you're with the friends, don't leave them, watch your drinks, be careful around rugs and if you're taking them, just be very careful and make sure you're with your friends. We can't stop people from having a good time. We can't stop people drinking. We can't stop people smoking. It's entirely up to them. But what you can do, you can put pointers out there to keep safe and to look after your friends as well. And that didn't happen in the Jay Slater case. And this is one of the reasons why I talked about this case, because there's a lot of things that didn't seem right, especially about the friends. And can I be honest? I don't think it's been addressed by Debbie in anything she says. At the end of the day, she's obviously thanking the good work Chris Tenerife had said at the end of the day. But like I said, his attitude doesn't come into it. Luggy, his attitude doesn't come into that. He's not really been mentioned. And then you've got obviously Rachel Hargreaves, who set up the Facebook group, the first GoFundMe, and that was passed over. And then people were shut down because they had questions which should have been answered, which wasn't. This is the whole thing about the case. We get half-hearted answers that could mean 10 different things. This is a problem with this case, and this is why we're still going round in circles. My main thing is, yeah, I think there's a lot of people involved. I think highly on the agenda was someone getting back at Jay for certain reasons, and basically wanting him out of the picture, which is very, very sad. I think manipulation was a part of this case. I do think Debbie's been manipulated to think the way the accident crew want her. To be honest with you, I think, like I said, I think the questions to the friends, your Lucys, your Brandons who never came to court, Rocky, Ayub, basically that I think that were there to basically smooth things over and make this sound like an accident. And if more than 4 or 5 people who were involved in this case basically were saying the same thing, it's more likely in Tenerife they're going to get away with it than they could do in the UK. No CCTV. There's so many things that make this case sickening in a lot of ways, because we haven't got distinctive answers into really what happened to Jay Slater, and most of them have been a cover-up, like many of us have said. I just want to basically play this audio by Duncan. It's actually off one of his last videos.
Footsteps. Debbie settled on it was all an accident. But I wonder how much money Debbie would put on the table and bet against the same thing happening to someone else this coming summer, next summer, Veronica Strip. She doesn't seem to.
And this point is crucial because, like I said, once we've got the next Jay Slater in Tenerife and someone goes missing, everyone's going to be up in arms. All those people are still out there that apparently had something to do with the Jay. When you hear one of those people, basically Ayub or someone on the strip, we think it could be connected to this guy, to that guy, people are going to say that, well, these people should be locked up. And the whole scenario, the whole scene starts again. So Jay's law should be basically helping vulnerable people, helping people that go to Tenerife, helping people that get into drugs. I think the misinterpretation of what we were trying to get at, that we're not happy with what we've heard. But just because we've listened to the experts, it doesn't mean you can always believe in what they say. It's just as simple as that. And a lot of what the friend says, a lot of the way they come across seemed off key to me. It didn't seem right. It didn't seem right that they didn't come out and really explain a few things where they would have got a hell of a lot more respect. Brandon didn't come out. Yes, he talked to MWC, but again, what we saw, it just seemed fabrication. Everyone was basically trying to be 100 miles away from the case. It's as simple as that, because they didn't really want to be a part of it, knowing that something sinister happened to him.
Coming summer, next summer, Veronica Strip. She doesn't seem to have any interest whatsoever that what happened to Jay can happen very easily to someone else. There's no push for Jay's law to deal with narco addiction, narco trading, mass narco binge taking, binge drinking, and the rest of it. She just shrugs her shoulders at that. I take that to be rather selfish. It's all about Jay, her missing Jay.
This is great points by Duncan here. It's all about missing Jay and what people said to her, but we're not getting to the points in why basically the family didn't question Abe and Rocky. That never made sense to me. It's like I said, I'm agreeing with Duncan. I'm agreeing with Wax as well. It seems like to me she doesn't want the real truth because, like I said, she may be afraid of what other people might say that what he was into. We don't know everything about Jay's past. We know he was no angel, but I've always said it. I don't think he deserved to die at the end of the day, but his friends covered it up. It's as simple as that. I truly, truly believe that. The information, what I've heard, what is some of the people from his area were actually saying, emailing me for months and months on end. It just makes sense to me that something happened on that beach and it was covered up as though it was an accident. It's as simple as that. And like I said, some of the people, the YouTubers, the TikTokers who actually went out there, like Callum down the Rapids, they got out there pretty quick because I think they knew that there was more to this case than meets the eye.
All about Jay, her missing Jay, her dead Jay. None of this has any connection with any other poor souls that could go the way Jay did. It just doesn't occur to her. I think that's rather selfish. Time and time again, what you find in missing person cases, especially when the poor person, especially if it's a child, ends up dead, you often get the parents campaigning not to shrug their shoulders and go after people that are commenting on the case, but to actually campaign to put right what went wrong in their particular case. They actually think of the next generation. They actually think of future incidents that could.
Very true. Future incidents that may happen, and we're looking out for youngsters. It's like Wax said earlier, we're not the enemy. We were never the enemy. And like I said, what we wanted was the truth and to get some of these awful people off our streets. They're still going to be at these concerts. They're just waiting for time to go. They're hoping for this case to pass before they basically mingle back in with society and doing what they do next. I think they're all career criminals. I really do. From Lucy to Brandon, from Brand's brother to Ayub. They may be able to be able to tone it down because they've got youngsters working for them, but they're still doing the same things out there and they don't give a toss. They were still traveling all over the place while Debbie Warren and Zach were picking up the pieces about, a son, a brother that, that they're never going to see again, which is really, really sad. So I do think Debbie has been manipulated to say a lot more than she really wants to say, to be honest with you, at the end of the day. Because like I said, I've never been the one to abuse people, but I've been very, very honest in my statements of what I actually think. And I honestly don't think Jay fell to his death. I don't think it. I really, really don't. And I don't think he was there, the times the friends say. I truly believe someone had his phone and it was manipulated basically as though he was up in those mountains. I don't think he was ever there. I really don't.
The next generation, they actually think of future incidents that could happen like this. Not with Debbie. has no concern whatsoever that the same thing that happened to Jay could happen to anyone else in Tenerife. No. She just accepts that you can have an absolute cocktail of drugs floating around your system. It's no big deal. And all of that could end up you being dead at the bottom of a ravine. It's no big deal. I mean,
Very true. Very true. And like, it should be a big deal because, like I said, myself and Ali has always promoted when you're going abroad, be very careful, be aware what's around you, always never leave your friends. And a lot of people have said, yeah, thanks, Martin, for that. I didn't know that. Or thanks, Ali, I didn't know that. And Ali was talking to a load of youngsters, 3 youngsters that were at the NRG festival. And they all said that there was bizarre things happening there, but they were afraid to talk because they technically know what goes on out there, the gangs that go on out there, and they're not allowed to talk because they might get beat up or attacked or abused online. Because, like I said, online abuse, as we know, Mariana, for instance, got absolutely lambasted, where basically she had to give channel up and delete a lot of her videos, which is absolutely bizarre, just because she had more information on Jay at the Airbnb. But like I said, that'll get out somewhere on the line. If, you know, by somebody else, it always does. People that have always got information. As this case goes on for years and years, people will still be talking about it, and there'll be still information coming up about it. At the end of the day, it's really, really strange, and you have to wonder why so many people go to Masca to see, you know, the beautiful mountains and the landscape and stuff like that, and no independent saw Jay walking, you know, off road or say, what you're doing, where do you know, can I help you? Are you okay? Nothing. Very, very weird and bizarre. Let's finish off a point from Duncan.
No big deal. I mean, it happened to Jay, it was an accident, so who cares about the rest of the world? So my beef with Debbie here is, yes, she's a grieving mother. But why do we ignore what I think is pretty obvious now? Why do we ignore the fact she's also dishonest, deluded, blinkered, obstructing of justice, disrespectful, disdainful, easily manipulated, now very vengeful, and somewhat selfish? It is all of these other adjectives that describe her that lead me to speak out against Debbie Duncan. I'm not the only one. I was one of the first, and many people said, don't go there, don't touch it, don't attack the family. Now that Debbie's at war with me, now that she wants revenge on me, I am nothing but at war with Debbie Duncan. And I'll say,
I think that was brilliant there from Duncan. I do think that Debbie's probably barking up the wrong tree in what Jay's Law needs to be about. And like I said, I just don't think she's really looking at the friends that Jay around. She's obviously forgiven Lucy, it seems. She doesn't really talk about Brandon, even though I think she knows that he was heavily involved in being with Jay last. One of them, your Lucy's, your Brandon's. At the end of the day, I think she's always liked Brandon. To be honest with you, I got the feeling, even though I think he's hiding a lot as well. And I think Duncan made some fabulous points. I mean, is this the way of saying, look, at the end of the day, we're happy with the situation. We don't want anyone else talking about it. But like I said, if there are things that don't add up and people feel uncomfortable with, they should come out and talk about it. Why should you accept it? Why should you accept something that you just don't believe in? You know, it just seemed weird case from day one. And why was there millions and millions of people making videos about this case if it was just all right? It just exploded because we wasn't been telling the truth at the start. If Ahab had come out and said, look, yeah, he was with me at the start, he didn't want to reveal himself. Rocky didn't really want to reveal himself because Ahab bought in. There were loads of people who left Tenerife who had something to do with Jay's death. It's as simple as that. And it has to be put out there. Jay's Law should consist of helping others. You know, those who were vulnerable on drugs, or those who were used, those whose flats and houses are used as well. And then they're the ones who end up in prison when the police are raided and these drug dealers have moved on to another vulnerable person's house. At the end of the day, going to Tenerife, you shouldn't be afraid. and end up in the mountains being robbed or attacked or even found dead in a ravine. It's happened before and it'll keep happening. At the end of the day, I think Tenerife, I think they have to address some of this situation and arrest people, but that'll die down soon and end up basically it end up going quiet again until another major event happens where someone actually goes missing, where they were robbed and found missing. But this has been going on for years. We've heard stories from the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, the 2010s, the 2019-20 onwards. It's just a just a conveyor belt of people getting into trouble, young men going out there and getting into trouble, and most of it is drug related. It's just as simple as that. Let me know what you think, people. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment and follow the channel. Appreciate you all. Thank you.